What's going on, family? This is True, back with another weekly Watchlist video, and we got a very interesting week coming up. First, earnings. I expect a volatile week, not only with earnings, but especially with Trump and China and the tariffs. So, me personally, I'm still playing defense going into next week. But nonetheless, crazy earning weeks. Crazy notable names like Netflix, Coca-Cola, Intel, Tesla, IBM, Procter and Gamble, Triple M, RTX. Man, it's gonna be insane. Gonna be a crazy insane week. AT&T, Honeywell, American Airlines, right? So a lot of heavy hitters gonna be reporting. I expect a lot of up and down, uptown, downtown, aftermarket movements, crazy movements. So just keep that in mind when you swinging. Just keep that in mind. So also, October 24th, I believe that's Friday, we have CPI data. So yes, also want to prepare for that CPI data on Friday. Let's jump straight into the watch list. One of the things I'm going to be watching going into next week is GSP. That is Gap. Not GSP, GAP. I'm sorry, y'all. GAP. That is Gap. So I like Gap for several reasons. Let's start from the top. So huge pennant on the quarterly. Like I was telling my students, usually when you have a huge pennant on these higher time frames, it's a huge range, right? So we may not get that breakout right away. It may take some time to get that breakout, but we have a huge range. So money can be made within that range, whether it goes up, whether it goes down. But something I also notice is tight closings on a quarterly candle. So we got tight closings that it shows that it was a lot of squeezing going on in that range. So that's something I'm paying attention to. Aside from that, we have actionable signals. We have a hammer quarter. This quarter is still active, so we have to take out the previous quarter high at $24.54 and see what happens from there. But let's jot down to the monthly. We have a shooter hammer combo on a month with the potential to go outside month. Even if we don't go outside month, we already halfway through October. We could go 2-2 rev on a month and still hit 24.54. All right. Especially if this bump stay green. So loving that so far. It went two up, two down. And everybody that was short made their puts now. They brought it from the lower end and they pushed that price right back up. So I like the way that's looking. Last but not least, we have another actual signal inside week. We barely went 2-2 rev last week. Now we have a 2-1-2 potential to the upside above 61.65. So that's looking very beautiful. In this range as well, in this $20 range, they also like to buy price back to the upside, especially over here. If you look in this range, around the $20 range, 20.58, previous year open. Look to the left. What happened during that range? They pushed it up. Happened during that range here, they pushed it up, and now we back in that particular range, and we looking for that push up back into 23.29 or the previous year close. So loving the way it's set up. Aside from that, we are twirling. We are spinning around on this point of control. Point of control is this big, long red bar that you see. And that's where the most shares was accumulated. And if you know, PLC acts as a launch pad for price, and price eventually like to push from that PLC. So we have a lot of confluences on Gap. A lot of confluence on Gap that's telling us this can go back to the upside. I also love this 3-2 potential to trigger that weekly 2-1-2 and then start pushing that month hammer back to the upside. So still early in this. Again, watch between the previous quarter close, previous year open. Look at how price push from that range. So even right here, we push from that range, right? Here, we push from that range. So in my theory, as long as we hold previous year open, or as long as we hold Friday's low, I am bullish on Gap. I am bullish on Gap. Gap is good for small ports as well because Look at the November 21s, very cheap, only a buck 27 to 119. Got people at the party, the 24 Cs, only 94. 22 Cs and the money, at the money is only 1.7. So not bad. If you want more time, you could always rock with the 24 Cs, the Decembers, which got 84,000 volume that closed on Friday. And that means somebody brought 84,000 cons, right? So what that's telling me, it's telling me something about to happen. Somebody got January 2026s. So honestly, I didn't even look at the January 26s and the March and December's. Honestly, December's might be the best cons. I didn't even analyze these cons, but the 24 C's, no brainer for December's. That's if you're willing to hold. Target 2454. If you want to take profit in between these targets that we have, 2212, 2243, 2268. That's your business. But with this type of setup, I think this is looking explosive in my opinion. Again, give it some time to actually reverse back up the previous quarter high and see what happens. Because again, we are in a big pennant, and those big pennants don't trigger or go crazy right away. They take time to build up. And I just noticed something. If you look at the quarterly, look at that same range, $20 range. What happened? Pop. So we sitting at an interesting price point that institutions like to buy. And again, no hesitation if this triggers, no hesitation. Back to the cons, you could go with the 24s, 19s, or you can go with 22, 23, 24s of the November. I probably just grab December just in case, but it's up to you. It's up to you. Know your risk, know your port. NVIDIA is my next ticker I'm going to talk about. I really, really like NVIDIA for several reasons. Let's start off with the month. Well, yeah, the weekly. Well, we went shooter 2 up, 2 down as well. We popped off this monthly level of 177.87. I also like, if you see this highlighted aqua area, I also like that this area was a resistance range and now it's becoming a supportive range. Price swept below 177.87. So we go to that monthly time frame. It was this month of July, the closing of July. We swept the closing of July and pushed back to the upside. That's something I really like about this. And tried to hammer. So we will open up inside, and now we have the potential to go 2-2 rev on the week to get off this previous week high of 190.11. So that's one of the reasons why I like this trade. Nvidia been showing a lot of strength in this range. Let's drop down to the daily. The daily is just as beautiful. Again, holding that monthly high of 177.87. We kind of consolidated there for a little bit. Also, we are chilling at the previous highs where we usually, where price usually sell off. So between 183.16 and 182.05, this is the range that price usually sell off, right? Every time it ran in that range, it dropped. Every time it went in this range, it dropped. It tried to drop, but it didn't drop as much, but they held it on Friday. So 1-3, we had a potential 1-3-2 up. First target is going to be around previous quarter close, 186.58. The next target is going to be around 190.11. The next target 193.51. The next target 195.62. So, loving the way this is setting up. With the contracts, we are looking at 200 season in November. I don't know why these Januaries is here, but the November 14th, 200 Cs is perfect for this. Again, your port. If you want to get less time, just, note the risk, right? So anywhere, I won't go too far at the money with these, especially if my target is 195 or to 200. I believe you can hit 195 within the ATR is only $6. So 195, realistically, we can hit 195 in about 2 days, 3.5 days. But again, you want to buy time to, alleviate some risks. So that's why we like November 7th at least, and we can go 195, which is only at $305. So we're looking at that. 195. So if we hit 195 by end of week, that's 117%, or around over 100% return on investment. Again, 195 is only right there. 90. And during this climate, I'm not afraid to take my base hits. So even if I was to hit a 46% by that range, I'll probably take profit as well. November 7th will be a little bit riskier, but the payouts is pretty similar, especially if you hit those targets by the 24th. So, loving that setup. Next thing I'm going to talk about is Costco. Costco's another one that's in a big pennant. We're not going to talk about the pennant on this one just yet because this needs time to develop, but the range can be executed on. So, inside month still, we went 2 up on the week. We did pull back, so next week we'll open up inside, and we also have inside a potential 2-on-2 on a daily. I like this for a short-term swing or day trade. Again, I like this for a short-term swing or day trade, meaning that you can take profit pretty early on these. If this 2-on-2 triggers and blast and crack the target of 957.90, that's easy money. That's easy money, especially with the ATR being $15 a day. You can hit that within 1 day. I mean, with some pullbacks or some choppy days, 2 or 3 days, right? Again, give yourself a lot of time to do that. We got the October 31st. And again, if our target is 957, that's a quick, nice 70%. If we hit it before that, let's say the 22nd, that's moving towards 100%. So easy profits right there on the next week cons, right? Pretty simple. If we get above, and that's me just, short-sighting it. If we get above the 957, hit 967, now you see how those cons get juiced up to around 175%. Even if we hit that by the end of the week, 150. If you really want to play around with that, see what happens next week, Wednesday. That's around 78%. So decent cons for that Costco. I mean, Costco go rip way higher than that, but I just want to give anybody that's want to take compound or take your base hits, we are showing you where you can TP and get some quick, easy gains from that. Next thing I'm going to talk about is C. I haven't played Banks in a minute, but I like the way C is setting up. So, yeah, earnings on January, but 2-1 on the month, still inside month. And we are shoot on the week. So I know some people might be like, hey, why are you looking at this? Just shoot on the week. It might be TT on back to the downside. I'm betting that price want to hold around 95.02 and 92.96 based on previous price action. So we can open up inside and start to push back to the upside to target 102.15. So that's what I'm looking at. And looking at price action on the daily and comparing what it did in the past till now, price seemed to like 95.02. So if this trade was to go against, if he was to enter tomorrow or Tuesday and this trade was to fall back and reverse below 94.502, that would be a range you can cut. If you got a little bit more risk you can spare, then you can cut below 92.96. But I like the way price is holding that range, and for me, that's an easy 2-1-2 back to the upside, the TTO back up, pushing this week back inside up, and eventually triggering the week's high at 102.15. Plus, C got beautiful contracts. So looking at the monthlies, the 100s, the 105, a lot of people at the parties for that. If you want to get the November 7th, go 3 weeks out. Spreads are pretty decent, and I like the way this is setting up. So 21 Novembers of 105 for 0.12. Again, if we hit a target of 102, 215, that's 83% by the 29th. So even with those monthlies, which is far out, if we hit that easy target of 102.15, that's a quick 83%. If you do that by the end of the week, quick 110%. Look at that 102.50. 102.15 is only right there, so it don't need a bunch of days to do. So you got to ask yourself, right? Just ask yourself, 21 Novembers, do you think you need more than a month to hit 102.15? Like, it's that simple. Don't need to complicate it. Do you need more than a month to hit 102.15? No. So that means that even with the nice percentage you see here, even though that could be hit in 1 or 2 days, you can see over 100% on monthly contracts within 1 or 2 days. I'm taking that. I'm taking that. To get the November 4 teams, 100 Cs, little nice 90% on that. So y'all could go with either cons. I think this is super safe. Again, aside with the risk to reward, if it violates 95.02 or 92.96, you should be cutting for pennies. So that's how you want to manage your risk on this one. But I like it. And if it decides to chop some more or, edge its way to the upside, you got plenty of time. And it actually could hit 105.59 if it really go crazy. So if we don't 105.59, that's over 100%, 190. Yeah, those are good percentages on that. Last but not least, I like JD. JD. So again, just be careful with all the China talks. This is a China stock. When failed to pull back on a quarter, we like our little pullbacks. When failed to month, now we inside week. So now we trying to catch this run back to the upside. I like how it's holding the previous quarter open in the previous week low. Also, it's holding these lows from the previous week as well. So I like that. And we sitting right in this demand zone. So looking for that reversal back out of the demand zone. So we missed the initial pop, 212. Got a nice pullback. So nice pullback with that. Looking at the daily. Daily is consolidating. It is within a mother bar, so just keep that in mind. But once it get out of this mother bar, I believe it can push back to this previous quarter high, previous month close, previous year close, pretty easy. Looking at the hybrid time frames, looking at the 2-day, gonna fail 2 down on a 2-day. The next 2-day opens on the 21st, so we get that 2-2 rev. Or we can potentially go outside 1-1-1-3 and prepare for that 3-2 to the upside. So this setup is not that bad. You just want to get out this demand zone that we've been sitting in. We catching a beautiful pullback. That was an aggressive pullback. So now we want to see if we go 2-2 rev. I will cut if it violates previous week low, because then it might want to aim for previous quarter low. So just watch out for that. And if it hit previous quarter low, we'll see how I react from there. It might consolidate and then rev, but just giving it a look for right now. I like how it looked just right here. So that being said, contracts on JD is nice for small ports too, because the monthlies is not too expensive, especially if we target in 38.08, 30s, 36.86, $40. Looking at those monthly contracts, you got the 35 Cs for only $1.57. Looking at those 35 Cs for only $1.57. If we hit a light target of 36.06, that's a quick 64% by the 31st. And it can do that pretty easy. So mostly trades, all they gotta do is move. You see that? All they gotta do is move. It's the daily. 36.06 is only right there. So he just has to get out of his zone. Let's see what happens this week. Again, a lot of volatility. Just be careful out there. Lay your wrist. Watch out for Trump and these tariffs. He might do a few pop-up speeches. So just be on defense. But a lot of setups do still look good for good payouts. All right. So that wraps things up for me. Take care and peace.